Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another enriching episode of She with Ade the One. I'm your host, Ade, and today we're going to dwell on the questions and answers that have been sent in by our viewership, so that we can talk more in depth about the things that actually concern you. As you know, this is the podcast for ordinary women with extraordinary stories, and I'm really grateful that you're joining me on this journey today. So let's dive in. This month has been the month that we've talked a lot about love, and not just it's not just any discussion, it's a discussion that relates to self-love, your relationships, and most importantly, well, maybe not most importantly, but importantly, your relationship with your significant other. So I've divided this section, girls, into 4 sections. We'll start with segment 1, and then we'll take a break and come back for part 2, if that's all right. Today, I'm joined with my very good friends, Rima, Kerry, and Kemi.
Hello.
Welcome, and thank you for taking the time out to join me with to make this episode a lot more enriching. Question number 1, when it comes to matters of the heart, what do you take into consideration when deciding to dig your heels in and stand your ground, and when to push and when to walk away?
It's a really great question, and I'd like to start. So for me, is to dig my heels in, is to aim, deliver my point of view in different ways if necessary. It is to explain, so another side, significant other, or another person, would that be a friend or parent or colleague, so they understand exactly what I'm aiming to explain. So this is digging part. When to leave is when the conversation is going in circles, and no matter where, if we are agreeing, or if we are agreeing, that's of course great, but if we are disagreeing, there is that misaligning, not meeting each other, not understanding, and if walking in circles, so what's the point? It's better to leave conversation, leave discussion, and possibly leave relationship. And Ade, please remind me, what was the first part of the question?
When you stand your ground, when you push, and when to walk away.
The standing ground is, having a conversation, explaining your point of view. That's what it is for me, with respect, with eagerness, willingness to see the other person's point of view.
Okay, thank you. Should we move to Kerry?
Yeah, well, for me, I walk away when we are just not getting anywhere, and we're getting to a point where it might be starting to get personal. It may start, somebody's getting angry or losing their temper, raising their voice in a way that is not helpful to the conversation. I will then walk away. And I may revisit at another time. So that's my point for walking away, because I realize it's just not going to happen today or at this moment. It may be best left for another time. So that's my walk away. I stand my ground when I'm setting boundaries. When these are boundaries that you have crossed, and it's a line that protects myself or my emotions in any way, shape, or form, I will then stand my ground. And it's up to me or us or you, however you want to put it, it's up to you to teach people how to treat you.
Absolutely.
And if you don't set those boundaries, if you're not digging your heels in, I'm not saying pushing, this is not when I push, I dig my heels in when you have crossed my boundaries. I've told you you've crossed my boundaries and you don't want to accept that. Then I will dig my heels in. I will push when I feel that we might be getting somewhere. I might be getting a bit of an understanding, but it's more to do with my values, what I value and what's really, really, really important to me. And I suppose I push when I can see that they might just get my point of view. And I'll push a little bit. Yeah, am I getting it? Yeah, they're getting it. But that's those are my kind of broad brush approach to those three ways of dealing with situations with people and my significant other in particular.
Kemi, can we hear from you, please?
Sure, Rima and Kerry have said a lot, so I'm just going to chip a little bit in. For me, I'm huge on respect, so I would dig my heels in, stand my ground to get that from whoever I'm having the relationship with, not necessarily a significant other, it might be a friend, because I would definitely accord you respect, and I expect the same in return. The point in which I would walk away in a significant other relationship, again, one of it is respect. If there is no respect in that relationship, if we are constantly battling, having ongoing conflict, nothing is being resolved. If it's not about you understanding my point of view, but more of you wanting what you want, forcing your opinion on me. It's okay to agree to disagree. At least you've listened to me and I have listened to you. But if it's a case of this is the way I want to do it, no middle ground, then yeah. Anything that is toxic, then I walk away from that. I can't deal with toxicity.
Great, all very great answers. Thank you, ladies. And I'm just going to say, for me, like you've all said, a healthy relationship, whatever that relationship is, it does require some compromise, some values of mutual respect, my self-respect. Thank you, ladies, for those wonderful responses. I don't think that I've got anything that different to say, except I do believe that teamwork in any relationship, whatever the relationship is, means mutual support, understanding, and a willingness to respect the other person's opinion, their values, you know, self-respect and respect for the other person, along with compromise. So I would stand my ground when my core values, my boundaries, or my emotional well-being are at stake. I would want them to come to a point of understanding where I stand, as it were. I'm not one to compromise on my core values or my boundaries, because then I think I'm disrespecting myself. And I'm not putting my emotional well-being at stake if I can help it. So I will push if it's something that we need to work on, a situation that is difficult, that can be resolved with open communication, that I'm willing to push for. But I would walk away when my peace, my worth as a person, or if I feel my safety is being consistently undermined. And that could be during an argument or even a relationship. If I'm not talking about one-offs in terms of ending a relationship in this case, but if I'm persistently and consistently over a decent period of time feeling like you think of me poorly, my safety is undermined in some way, my peace is undermined in some way, then I'm out of here. Okay. All right, so let's go to question 2, which is another very interesting one that says relationships are not always 50-50. Sometimes it's 70-30, 80-20, depending on the challenge. Look like. Go for it, somebody.
Okay. I absolutely agree with this because there is a beautiful saying illustrating pretty much the same, that there is no need for both to be strong in a relationship, assuming that it is, a relationship of two. There are moments when our best is only 10%. But as long as you know that you are doing your absolute best, that's absolutely fine, as long as your other person knows about it. And when you are ready, when I'm ready, I give 60, 70, and 80%. And not only being ready and when we can, because it may depend on the knowledge, on emotional state, on physical strength, and many more variables. So absolutely agree with it. Thank you.
I think it comes down to communication, because if you're giving your 100% and that only happens to be 20% of whatever situation you're in, it's about telling your partner that, you know what, I'm doing my best, but they've got to be able to take the deficit and go, right, I need to make up the 80% that's missing here. And they're still putting in 100%, but it ends up being 80% of the situation. So whether you find yourself financially, they may be in a stronger position than you, and it's an 80-20 or a 70-30, whatever that is for you. I just think it's about communicating and realizing that I think the problem happens when somebody's giving 100% and it ends up being 20, the other person's giving 100% and it ends up being 20, and then you've got this missing portion in the middle, and then there's miscommunication, which can end up causing problems, and then problems that do not get resolved have a habit of becoming a crisis. So I think it's just really important to get that, out in the open and get that communication with your partner.
I'd like to call you to say something really quickly, because I want to hold the thought basically about communication. I think that is really, really important. And also, just as key, and in that somewhere, is knowing when you need help. Because if you're both at 2020 being your best and you've got a situation, then help is required. But we might come back to that later, because sometimes one person recognizes help is needed, the other person doesn't want help because there's lack of communication and understanding. It doesn't happen, and then it's rapid progression to disaster, if you ask me. But I'll please, Kemi, do dub in to the question before I speak my piece.
Okay, I would say is 100%. The two of us putting everything into it. However, before we even think if it's 20 or 100% or 60-40, is both of us understanding our strengths and weaknesses and knowing it's okay. So just because I am a woman, I might be better with money management. So you're understanding I'm better with money and giving me that a role. Whoever is stronger deals with a particular role within the relationship, and it's fine, and it does not belittle any person if we both have that understanding, so we're able to put everything into it without feeling less of a person, feeling this is gender based, some rules are gender based. No, it's we are a team, and it's how can we win as a team.
I don't think I've got anything to say other than after that, because I mean, I totally agree with you. It's all about teamwork. It's all about mutual support. It's all about understanding and a willingness to adjust to life's ebbs and flows. It's about stepping up when your partner needs something from you and trusting that they will do the same thing when the roles reverse. And I was going to use exactly the same. It's 100%, 100%. And sometimes 100% may not look like much from me at the moment, but that's the best. If you know and understand and appreciate that I would always be doing my best, then that is 100% of what I can be doing at that time. And like Kemi said, it's mutual understanding. In my personal relationship, for example, when I'm with my husband, I can cook, but I hate cooking. He can cook and he enjoys cooking. Not so much so now that he's in his 60s, but he will make provision to see that I eat. I mean, I don't even think about food. I have to be like starving and about to collapse before I don't, it just doesn't feature. For me, food is eat and get on with your business. Okay, so because of that, he makes an effort. He makes sure that there's food. He will cook for me. And in my culture, in a certain sense, it looks odd to people because a woman is traditionally meant to sort the cooking out and the stuff to do with the home. But it works for us. He doesn't complain. And like Kemi says, he doesn't feel any less for doing so because there are other things that I'm better at than he is. Right. Thank you, ladies. Is there any reason you're my friends? I think we're probably all on the same page with most things here. The third question is, are children a good enough reason to stay together if a relationship does not appear to be working?
No.
Absolutely not.
Whoa,
No.
we're all agreeing. Who wants to go first?
I think if you stay in a relationship based on the premise that you're staying for the children, you get dysfunctional children. They have seen mommy and daddy shout constantly. They've seen mommy and daddy maybe be abusive, physically, emotionally, whatever the abuse is, and that is their picture to life. That is how they're gonna live and see life through those lenses. So more or less, you've messed up the children. It's better for mommy and daddy to separate. There are men that are fantastic fathers, but they're used husbands. Or there are mothers that are fantastic mothers, but as a spouse, they're totally different. So we can separate, mutually respect ourselves, mutually raise our children up filled with love, and they are complete whole as a person, as to staying there and at the end of the day, you've got broken children.
Mm. Kerry, Rima?
It's really tricky to add anything else after Kemi. And at the same time, I would love to, because as an educator, I always ask myself, what do I want my child to learn? You know, and following Kemi's example, do I want her to learn that it is okay to shout at each other, it is okay to disrespect each other, or do I want her to learn respectful conversations and love from afar? That's all.
Kerry?
See, now I don't have children, but I can come from the point of view of the child that was in that situation. And for me, I would go to school, I'd be worried. I could have a whole session and then I've written one line and the teacher would ask me, why have you written one line? I wasn't there. I wasn't there. I'd be looking out the window, daydreaming and wondering if everything's all going to collapse by the time I get back home. What's going to be there to come back to? And then the issue with that is, as you get older, your references for a healthy relationship are flawed. And then after that, you've got to then work out who are you? What are you good at? You have self-esteem issues that you've then got to, it just gives you extra mountains, extra summits to have to climb as an adult. And it's not to say that you can't get through it, but it just makes, the journey just that bit longer, a bit harder, a bit tougher. And also, you've, as a child in that situation, you have to find a way to escape it. And often the child will blame themselves. So I used to think things like, if I was just good and kept them happy, then maybe that wouldn't happen. I'll be a really good girl. I'll eat all my dinner. I'll do this, I'll do that, just to keep things smooth. And so I can only really answer the question from that point of view. And had I got married and had children and was in a situation where it wasn't functioning the way that it should, or the way that I wanted it to, I wouldn't stay. Because I understand what it's like to walk to school and wonder if everything's going to be collapsed when you come back. And to go to school and not be able to concentrate. And to go to school and be teased and then lash out at other children because you're angry or you're upset. And then waiting at the gate to know whether, is it okay? Is it not okay? And living with that for a whole school day. And then the teacher wondering if there's anything wrong with you because you're not concentrating or you haven't done what you were supposed to. And yet you don't have the words to describe what it is you're really thinking and feeling because you can't articulate it.
Wow, that's really sobering, Kerry, coming from the child's point of view. And if anything, it underlines why I also I agree with you three that you see, I just think from everything that's been said that children deserve a stable, loving environment. It doesn't always mean you have to stay together. We can co-parent with understanding in a healthy manner. I know that it is majorly disruptive to children, and their desire will always be that the parents stay together. And ideally, that would be the greatest thing that could happen. But sometimes it's just better for the couple to go their separate ways, and hopefully are mature enough emotionally and otherwise to know that their children can't be part of the beef, and that, we've got to sort of respect each other enough away from each other, at least, to be able to bring our children up in a healthy manner. I mean, for me, I've got 3 children. I've got a girl and 2 young men, and I cannot bear the thought that my daughter would choose a man who was abusive to be her partner because I modeled that to her. That would be, for me, it would be devastating. Neither do I want my sons to grow up thinking this is the way to treat a spouse. In fact, they're both just as important, you know. And again here, I'm going to be a little bit direct, for lack of a better word. Ladies, please teach your sons. Teach your sons. It's really important that you teach your sons how to treat a female, how to treat a wife, how to treat a partner. It's really important. Don't let them model the kind of nonsense that we see so often in the name of not wanting it not to work. What will people say? In my culture, in my tradition, you know, in the past, it's been, no, you get on with it, you stick with it, no matter what. And, you know, there's lots of people who are broken as a result. So no, I wouldn't recommend it. As hard as the road is for everyone, it's still better, in my opinion, that we go our separate ways. Should we move on to another one?
Yeah.
What do you think are the non-negotiables in a healthy relationship?
Mutual respect.
Absolutely. Loyalty for me and honesty. Also being open. Like secrecy. I don't want to find something. I don't want to be told by a third party what my significant other is up to. Let me put a context. There was something I told my daughter when she was going to uni. I said, Megan, you're about to fly. It's your life. But please, please, do not let the world see a Megan that I do not see. That will kill me. That's if Kerry knows Megan better than I do, or she puts something on socials and they can see another aspect of Megan that I cannot see. And so with my significant other, I don't care what it is or how bad it is or how good it is or whatever it is. Let me be the person to see. Do not let a third person see a Wale I cannot see. So that's non-negotiable for me.
I was going to say communication, but it comes together with mutual respect. You know, when you respect, you are open to hear each other. And I also would like to add trust. Trust going forward, trust in each other's decisions, in each other's abilities, in trust every way.
Yeah, I'm with you all again. For me, it will be respect, trust, feeling safe with the person, which for me is trust. It's loyalty. It's knowing that they have my back, no matter what. And probably most important is shared values. It's just foundational. If I find no common ground, I don't think it would work. And it's, for me, it's a huge no-no, because what would be our guidance for life if we haven't got, you know, shared values? We don't have to like doing the same things, but the values the foundation needs to be similar. Without that, I think relationships struggle to provide support,
Absolutely.
to provide
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think they struggle. It's funny this, because I was just thinking to myself, nobody said, oh, I want the sort of butterflies in my stomach, or, you know, all
Oh,
of
but
that.
the butterflies don't last. Everybody knows butterflies don't last.
But you'll be
Even if,
surprised at how
no,
many
come
people
on.
face
Even
their
if they put on a
relationship.
sexy outfit every now and again, you might get the butterflies for the whole of 5 minutes, and then it's all over, isn't it? So really, we can't, but the thing is, they might be in your circle, but have they got your corner? That's what I mean when I say mutual respect. You'll have lots of people in your circle, lots of people. But when it comes to it, who's got your back?
Okay, so I think that's bringing us to that question: that is love enough? Is love enough? Isn't it?
It depends on how you define love, though, Kemi. I think that's the issue.
I think whichever way we discuss love or we define love, love is not enough. Enough.
Okay, I'll come back to that, because I have a slightly different view, but I'd like to hear from Kerry and Rima and see what they think, because I'm basing my definition of love probably very different to what most people do. And that's why I laughed when and why I brought up that comment and said, nobody's talked about the butterflies in the stomach thing and all this. There's a million and one myths that have nothing to do with love and the true picture of lasting relationships and strong foundations that we need to get rid of. I think that perhaps airy fairy love, now I'm getting into it. I'll stop. I want the ladies to answer, and then maybe I'll come back to it.
So you're going to repeat the question?
Yes, I said, no, it was Kemi who asked the question, actually. Go on.
Yeah, I said that brings us to that question of, is love enough in a relationship?
What's love got to do with it? I think Tina Turner said.
A lot.
I think it also depends. I think it depends largely on what the foundations of that love is. And a lot of people get confused between attention and affection. Very different. People get caught up with thinking they're in love when they're emotionally dependent. So for me, love is, again, the foundation of that is a brilliant friendship, is a bestie. That's the foundation of love. I mean, you know, you could have a best friend, well, I say bestie. You could have somebody that's not particularly good looking that doesn't make you go, ah. But because you have that mutual respect and that foundation as a friendship, sometimes you can look at them and think, oh, you're a bit of all right, but that comes later, not initially. So for me, if we've got a really good friendship, trust and loyalty, and it's a solid foundation, then I think love should be built upon that. And I think that is enough to start a good loving relationship.
That's very interesting. You know, Ada, you mentioned butterflies. I think back in my life, and I'm not saying that for sorrow. I'm not saying that for sorrow, but I've never experienced butterflies, only because the people, all my relationships started through communication, trust, mutual respect. And then I grew to love them. So that's what love is for me. It starts with communication. It starts with understanding each other's worlds, understanding of the world, seeing each other's, you know, colors of the rainbow, seeing each other in good and bad, and only then that love, that desire to stay forever, ever.
Yes, you see, so Kemi, going back, or to everybody, the question has been, is love enough? So from you, Kemi, you said no. I'm about to say yes, but I need to qualify my statement. I think what several people think is love is not what I think is love. And I think Kerry and Rima have sort of, and I have similar thing. Even the Bible says love is patient, love is kind, love believes in the other person, you know, doesn't believe evil of the other person. And all of these things, it's not too haughty-taughty, it seeks the good of the other person. For me, that is true love. You know, feeling like, oh, all that is great, but it's an additional thing. If I cannot bear my heart to you, if I don't feel that you will be supportive of me, if I don't feel comfortable around you and safe, I won't classify that as love. So whatever I'm feeling towards you is some form of dependence, either for sexual gratification or a certain way that I feel around you. For me, all of that is not love. If I have it, if I have that extra bit, then that's brilliant, okay? But it's not the primary thing. So for me, love is enough, but love constitutes trust, safety, friendship, a strong foundation built on similar values. And all of that for me is what real, true love, the love that will not mind going the extra mile for the other person, who's always thinking about the other person first. For me, that's love. And so for me, that love, my definition, not the Disneyland's definition of love, is enough. So I'd be interested to know what you feel is missing from love, or the way that you see it that makes it not enough.
I think it's a balance. The Disney thing, I think every woman wants to feel that. You
Yeah,
understand?
in the beginning, if you're in love with someone,
Yeah.
if you don't, it'd be a bit weird.
Yes, you're gonna feel that all through the relationship, but you are, what I tell my girls, I say, do not love only with emotion, love with your brain. So you're able to put your emotions to it, but you are also applying your brain. So I can love you, be crazy in love with you, but love myself enough to know I've got to walk away. But I am crazy about you. But I love me enough to know our values do not align, to know what my sister said is we don't share the same values. I'm not safe with you, or you do not respect me, or you do not, but you make me feel all those giddy giddy, which I want to feel, but I've got to apply my brain to say, you've got to take a walk, you know. And because we change, we there is growth in our person, and we change with time. So it's possible that in the middle of a relationship, say 10, 15 years relationship, we evolve again, and you were meeting those needs at a particular time. I brought it to your attention that this is, you're not respecting me, blah, 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 whatever my values are, and you are not meeting them. So in as much as it's a 10-year relationship, we've loved each other, it's been 10 years of memory. Again, I love me enough to take a walk.
Okay, I mean, we can't negate the power of passion and emotions, but yeah, I hear you, and I agree to an extent, because for me, I think all the passion and sex and all of that is great. It is, and it should be there. For
It's
me,
too fickle.
I don't think it will be there constantly all the time. If you have it that way, well, you're wonderful. But I think there has to be more to it for me to allow, and I guess we're saying the same thing, Kemi, for me to allow myself to commit to a person The other things have to be there. It doesn't matter how you make me feel. I'm in fact, somebody said, but what if you love someone? And this is just me, please, the listeners and my friends. I will not allow myself to get deeply in love with you if I know you're trouble for me. I'm out as soon as I can. Before I get any deeper, I don't, no, don't want it.
And I also think if passion is 80% of your relationship, you're in big trouble.
Because life's gonna throw you some.
Because I tell you something, I've gone out with people and I was hit by a bolt of lightning with just like boom, boom, tiddy, boom, tiddy, boom, tiddy, boom. And then by week 4, I'm like,
No, so
again, tired of you. And it does not, I'm not so sure that lasts. So I think if it's 20%, that's all right. But if it's 80%, there's a problem. If it's just passion we're talking about.
And for some it is. And when it comes to that point, it might not be 4 weeks' time, it might be, Kemi says, a couple of years' time, and the scales suddenly fall off your eyes. And perhaps that's why many of us find ourselves in relationships that aren't sustainable.
Yeah.
It's food for thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now that we've explored these external aspects of relationships, I think it's time for us to turn our focus inwards and discuss some of the foundations of all connections, the relationship that we have with ourselves. And we'll come back in part 2 to discuss all of that. I want to thank Kemi, I want to thank Rima and Kerry for being here. We've had a wonderful discussion, and I'm so grateful that you're in my corner. We're not significant others, but you're a significant part of my life, and I couldn't do this without you. Thank you, and see you next time.